If you're new to our channel, we'd love to have you join our little community. Just hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. We promise it will be worth your while.
I always hated being short. I'm 11 years old, but I'm short for my age. Actually, I'm several years younger than my age. When we play basketball in gym class, some of the guys like to joke around by lifting me up to make a shot. I laugh and pretend that it doesn't bother me, but when I got home, I used to run to my room and cry. No matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't seem to fit in with the other boys. It wasn't too bad that I couldn't fit in at sports, since I really don't have any interest in chasing balls around. I don't care if it's a baseball, basketball, football, or any other kind of ball. I didn't give a rat's backside about it. Why would anyone want to smack a ball and make others chase it, or see if they could toss it through a metal ring hanging so high that even when other guys lifted me, I had to throw the ball up instead of just dropping it into the basket? The girls at school didn't have to do stupid stuff like that. They got to do fun things like gymnastics and cheerleading. Sometimes they even got to do cool things like learning how to square, dance, or ballroom dancing. No one even bothered to ask me if I'd rather take square dance lessons instead of chasing a ball around a hot field on a sunny day. Mom knew how I felt and kept telling me that I'd start growing any day and then I'd be more interested in sports, but the days passed and I was still short and still thought that sports were boring. Dad told me that I should try to find something that interested me and that I might be good at. I couldn't tell him that being a cheerleader seemed like fun or that taking girls' gymnastics would have made me happier than a pig in a mud puddle. Gymnastics classes at my school were different for girls than for boys. The girls learned to tumble, to do handstands, and learning to walk on a balance beam. Guys' gymnastics meant pulling yourself up while you held onto 2 rings suspended from cables in the ceiling, or other things that meant you had to have a bundle of muscles that I just don't have, or even want. I was fascinated by things that required gracefulness and coordination like the girls got to do. One afternoon, I was watching a rerun of a silly show called You Can't Do That on Television, and for some goofy reason, the guys all got dressed like girls. It seemed crazy at first, but the longer I watched, the more I liked seeing guys about my age wearing dresses. The taller guys looked strange, but the shorter ones, who were probably a little taller than me, looked pretty realistic even with short hair. I thought about that show a lot. I probably thought about it way too much. A couple of weeks later, when Mom and Dad were grocery shopping, I snuck into their room and looked around in Mom's closet and underwear drawers. I grabbed an old dress she didn't wear anymore, a slip underwear, and a bra, then ran back to my room, afraid that they might come home unexpectedly and catch me. I locked my door and sat down on my bed to catch my breath while checking out the clothes. I know it was a stupid thing to do, but I couldn't help myself. I just had to put on those clothes. I was a nervous wreck as I pulled my shirt over my head and then stepped out of my pants and underwear and pulled on Mom's underwear. Since they were so big on me, I ran back to her room, clutching them to keep them up, grabbed a couple of safety pins, and ran back to my room again. As I relocked my door, I felt a strange rush. It was so exciting to run around in Mom's underwear and risk getting caught. With my new underwear pinned to make them fit, I put on my first bra. No matter how hard I tried, though, I couldn't get the stupid thing hooked up while I was wearing it. I ended up taking it off, hooking it together, and then pulling it on over my head. That seemed like a lot of work, but I couldn't exactly ask Mom to show me the right way to hook up a bra. I managed to get the slip-in dress on, but had to run to Mom's room again to get more pins since even Mom was taller than me, and the slip was way too long and stuck out from the bottom of the dress. I carefully unlocked my door and listened to see if my parents had gotten home yet. When I thought it was safe, I ran to Mom's dresser and grabbed a fistful of safety pins so I wouldn't have to make another trip. I was ready to run back again, but since no one was home, I walked back real slowly, so I could enjoy the feeling of being scared to death a little longer. Once I got everything pinned up, I decided to go back to Mom's room to see how I looked in her full-length mirror. It felt so scary to walk down the hall to my parents' room. I took my time, and it was sort of like watching a scary movie when you know the monster can't possibly get to you. I hoped they'd take their time shopping. Maybe I could go downstairs for a while, or maybe even open the front door and get the mail. When I looked in the mirror, I saw what looked like a short-haired little girl playing dress. Up in her mom's clothes, the dress was too big. The straps of her bra and slip were showing, and a little bit of her slip stuck out from the bottom of her dress. She didn't seem to care, though. She just kept laughing and twirling and having the time of her life. For once, the world seemed right to me. I was a girl who could learn to dance or lead cheers at a football game or twirl a baton in a parade. Instead of getting smashed by a guy twice my size, simply because I had a football in my hands, I was on the sidelines in a cheerleader's uniform, getting the crowd all worked up for guys who enjoyed getting knocked down for no good reason. I spent almost 10 minutes pretending I was a grown lady getting ready to go on a date. I even put on some of Mom's lipstick, a pair of her high heels, and brushed my hair to make bangs like I saw on girls at school. When I was done, I slowly walked back to my bathroom and wiped the lipstick off. I locked my door and then spent the rest of the time watching TV until my parents got back. As soon as I heard their car in the driveway, I peeled off the dress and hid it in the back of my closet. I hid the panties and the slip under my mattress so I could get to them without digging through my closet and making a racket. I put my old clothes back on and went to help unload groceries, scared that somehow my parents would know that I had tried on Mom's clothes. I was so worried that I promised myself that I'd never do anything that stupid again, yet the very next Saturday I was wearing the bra, slip, and panties. I saw an ad for ladies' underwear, and that's what they called them, and digging the dress out of my closet as soon as my parents' car left the driveway. This time, I pinned the slip up a little bit more and pushed the straps as far under the dress as I could without having them fall down my arms. When I was all dressed, I calmly walked over to Mom's room and put on a pair of her heels and some lipstick. I really wanted to spray on some perfume, but I was afraid that Mom and Dad would smell it when they came home. I know I can smell it on Mom long after she comes home from work. Mom and Dad had told me that they had a lot of shopping to do, groceries and stuff from a home improvement store, so I knew I'd have lots of time to play dress up. I tried on a bunch of Mom's stuff, a couple of dresses, some skirts, a few of her nightgowns, and just about all of her lingerie, another word I learned from a newspaper advertisement. I wished that I had some pretty clothes that fit me, but still, it was so cool to dress up in Mom's stuff. I was having a great time trying on different things and even got to use more of Mom's makeup. I remembered how Mom would sometimes use different colored lipstick with different clothes, so whenever I changed into a different dress, I changed the color of lipstick I wore too. It was totally great to be able to put on a pink blouse and then find lipstick that looked good with it. Normally, I'd just throw on jeans, a jersey, and comb my hair, which seemed like so boring after raiding Mom's closet. Of course, by the time Mom and Dad got back, I was in my jeans and jersey, my hair combed, and Mom's clothes put away except for the dress in my closet and the lingerie. I like the sound of that word. It's way nicer than saying underwear. Under my mattress. Sure, I worried that they'd be able to just look at me and know what I'd been doing, but you know what? That just made it more fun. After a couple of times, I realized that not only had I found a new way to have fun when no one was home, but that it was so much fun that I couldn't stop. I might be able to go for a couple of weeks without dressing up in Mom's stuff, but suddenly I would just have to wear something, even if it was my favorite pair of panties from under my mattress. I'd take my shower and get ready for bed, But as soon as Mom and Dad thought that I had gone to sleep, I'd quickly slip out of my underwear and into my panties. I got stabbed by the safety pin once or twice when I'd roll over, but it was worth it to wear such pretty panties. I even wore my panties to school a couple of times when I didn't have gym. It was so scary and fun sort of way to think that someone might see the funny-looking waistband peeking out from my pants. I'm sure that if anyone ever found out that I was wearing panties, they'd call me all kinds of names and make fun of me, but it didn't matter. Somehow, I just had to wear them. After I'd been playing dress-up for a couple of weeks, I started looking at girls and wondering what they were wearing. A lot of guys would see a girl and say things like, "I'll bet she's not wearing any underwear," or "she's wearing a thong." But I'd wonder how the blouse a girl was wearing would look and feel if I wore it, or what it would be like to wear a skirt and stockings to school, like the girls did for special occasions like class picture day. One Saturday, I was playing dress up again, and I thought about wearing stockings. I found a pair in Mom's drawer that looked like long underwear, so I sat down on her bed and carefully pulled them on. Wow, they sure feel nice, I thought when I rubbed my legs together. I put on one of Mom's prettiest slips, a blue dress with gold buttons and a pair of blue heels that she always wore with that dress. When I was all dressed, I sat down at Mom's vanity, just like she always did, and put on lipstick, makeup, and eye. Shadow. I didn't really know what I was doing when it came to putting on makeup, and so it never worked out right, but I still enjoyed doing it. It made me feel more like a grown-up lady instead of a little girl. Something seemed to change in me when I played dress up. I sort of started to think of myself as a girl. Not as an 11-year-old girl though, but more like a little girl, maybe about 7 or 8 years old. I'd put on Mommy's pretty clothes and shoes, lipstick and makeup, and I'd pretend that I was Mommy making dinner for Daddy or cleaning the house. Nothing was as much fun to me as pretending to be a little girl playing dress up. One day, when I was walking home after school, I saw that a Goodwill box that I always passed was overflowing and someone had left bags of clothes on the sidewalk next to it. At first, I couldn't tell what was in the bags except that they were in lots of pretty colors. I looked all around to make sure no one saw me and then slowly walked close enough to the collection box and the bags. After walking past it a couple of times to make sure it was safe, I quickly opened a bag and saw that it was filled with girls' clothes. Not just girls' clothes, but stuff for a little girl, maybe about the same size as me. I looked around pretty carefully, because I didn't want anyone to see me rooting through a bunch of girls' stuff. When I was sure it was okay, I pulled some stuff out. There were a couple of dresses, 2 slips, different colored panties with the days of the week on them, some socks with lace cuffs, 2 pairs of shoes, and even a majorette costume. Finding all of this was just about as good as getting an A for a surprise test in history class. I wasn't sure any of the stuff would fit, but Mom and Dad wouldn't be home before me, and if I didn't grab it now, there might not be another chance. I grabbed the bag and ran home as fast as I could. Once in my room, I locked the door and dumped the bag out on my bed with one hand while I was pulling off my clothes with the other hand. My heart was pounding and my little friend was getting very excited as I chose the Thursday panties and stepped into them. I got them all the way up and couldn't believe it. They were a perfect fit. They felt so nice and silky, just like Mom's panties, and they fit perfectly. Almost perfectly. There was a bulge in the front that just wouldn't go away. The slip came next. It was silky and looked so pretty with just a little bit of lace at the top and bottom. It wasn't anywhere near as long as Mom's and didn't peek out from the bottom of the green and yellow play dress I decided to wear. I smoothed the back of my dress as I sat down to put on my new shoes and socks. I don't know why I did it, but all the girls at school did it when they wore dresses. So, since I was a girl, I had to do it too. I picked a pair of yellow socks with a band of lace around them, pulled them up and turned the top down to show off the lace, then stepped into a pair of shiny white shoes that buckled across the top of my foot. I didn't have a whole lot of time before Mom and Dad would get home, but I just had to run over to their room and see how I looked. My new clothes looked so much nicer than Mom's clothes. I wasn't a little boy playing dress. Up in Mom's clothes anymore, I felt like a real little girl. I twirled and twirled, loving the way my dress would flare out and show off my pretty slip. If I twirled fast enough, I could even see my panties. I heard my parents' car in the driveway, so I hurried back to my room to change and carefully hide everything, so no one could find my new clothes. It feels so nice to know that I have my very own dresses and stuff. When I want to look pretty, I don't have to borrow Mom's clothes. I can wear my own clothes. I can wear my own. I left my new panties on. They felt so nice, and I didn't have to worry about getting stuck by pins. Changed back into my boy clothes and started my homework. Of course, I dressed up every single chance I had, including wearing panties to school when I wouldn't have gym class. I felt so relaxed and comfortable when I was all dressed up. I wasn't a sad excuse for a boy anymore. I was a pretty little girl. Since I was a little girl, I didn't have to play sports. I could play hopscotch, or jacks, or play house, or baby dolls with other little girls. No doubt about it, being a girl was way better than being a boy. Month after month went by, and with time, I got better and better at making myself look like a girl. I watched other little girls and remembered how they looked. Ribbons and stuff in their hair, what kind of dresses they wore, how they talked, and how they acted so that I could do everything just like any other little girl. I practiced all the time until I thought I could even do something like go to the park and play with other girls and no one would notice. Halloween was a month away when Mom told me that she wanted me to do something different this time. Let's see. She smiled and ran her fingers through my hair. You've been a pirate, a zombie, a vampire, a cowboy, and Darth Vader. How about trying something different for me? Sure. How about I go out as a fireman? I could carry Dad's axe and cover my face with black stuff to make it look like I just put out a fire. I was thinking of something else, something you'd never think of but would be a great costume. She had a funny smile on her face that told me she was going to suggest something weird like pretending to be a Great Dane or something like that. I don't want to be a dog, or half a horse, or any other animal. Okay? I figured that I'd put my foot down right away before she got too far into her plan. No animals, I promise, she swore, but this would mean so much to me, and I'll bet that you'll get plenty of candy too. No animals. It would make Mom happy, and I'd get plenty of candy. I didn't see any way that I could lose. You've got a deal, I agreed. What am I going to be? A little girl. Mom grinned, and I suddenly wondered if she could read minds. She was smiling as if she'd just pulled off the best joke anyone had ever played. No way, I insisted, afraid to give in to my dreams. I'm not going to be some sissy. It's Halloween, honey. Mom insisted right back. You won't be the first boy to ever pretend to be a girl for trick-or-treating. It would really mean a lot to me. Every mother wants to have a daughter. You can be my little girl for one night, can't you? Please? I didn't want to give in too easily. Mom might think it was strange if I did. Of course, I didn't want to put up too much of a fight. She might give in and I'd lose the chance to become a little girl, if only for a day. What would I have to do? Mom grabbed me and gave me a gigantic hug. You're a great kid. She almost had tears running down her cheeks. I can't wait to see how cute you're going to be. I'm not agreeing yet, Mom. I had to keep putting up a little fight. You haven't told me what I have to do. You just have to let me dress you up and make you look like a pretty little girl. That's all. Mom shrugged as if it was nothing at all to dress her son like a girl. We'll go to a party for Dad's company, and the next day you can go trick or treating around the neighborhood. Dad will have a baby, I blurted out, making it seem like I didn't mind dressing up, but that Dad wouldn't like it. I've already gotten him to agree. Mom smiled, removing my best objection. He thinks you'll look cute too. I don't have much choice, do I? I hoped not, but I had to make one last try at getting out of it. Of course you have a choice, Eddie, Mom said sadly. I was just hoping you'd do me a favor. Tell me what you'd rather be, and I'll get the costume for you. I couldn't turn Mom down. It seemed to mean so much to her, and it would give me a chance to dress up without getting any flack. No one will laugh at me and Dad won't have a baby, right? I was looking for a way to say yes without seeming too happy about it. No one's going to laugh, and if Dad has a baby, we'll go on all the talk shows. Mom grinned. Labor won't be easy, but the money from talk shows, the book deal, and movie rights will ease his pain. It would certainly be an historic event, I agreed, feeling better now that Mom was smiling again. Mom gave me another bone-snapping hug. We'll go shopping this weekend for outfits, she explained. We have a lot to do to make a pretty little girl out of you. I was pretty sure it wasn't going to be all that hard, but I thought it would be best to let Mom go on thinking that way. You said outfits. I cocked an eyebrow, hoping to appear confused. That's plural. Why do I need more than one? I want everyone to gush over my little girl, Mom explained breathlessly. She's going to be the most adorable, sweetest little girl ever. Why do I have to be a little girl? I asked. I wasn't really complaining. I just wanted to hear Mom's explanation. Mom shook her head nervously. I'm sorry. I just thought that being a little short, you'd be perfect as a young girl. How young do I have to be? I worried that I was starting to seem too interested. My little friend was getting stiffer by the minute, but I just had to get more details. I was thinking maybe 8. Mom bit her lip, maybe expecting me to scream and carry on. So, I'm going to be an 8-year-old Barbie doll. Is that about right? I could see her tensing up, waiting for an outburst. After all, what 11-year-old boy wants to be all dolled up like an 8-year-old little girl? I mean, besides me. I suppose you could say that.